For most of us, the ideal place for spices is within our reach, which is why we often end up dealing with storage conundrums. This is why a spice rack is useful. Tenths of small bulks bags and unnamed jars stuck on the countertop are the mere definition of kitchen mess, and explain pretty well why we can never find what we are looking for from the first attempt. That's when spice storage becomes more annoying than you can handle. And yet, we are always impressed by professional cooks' storage abilities, wishing we had their hanging spice racks and vintage organizers. No wonder we never came across their spice rack ideas. We were not even looking for them. Before you launch your perfect spice rack process, think of which spices you're about to include. The pull-out spice rack of your dreams won't be able to bundle all the bags you have, and there is no need to keep dry and useless powders. If you love cooking, and can't imagine doing so without a full pack of spices, consider a large spice rack. Pick the ideal location for the spice racks. The best match will be dark and cool areas where you can store them for a larger period of time. They shouldn't be exposed to heat or direct sunlight, which is why professional chefs often choose to store them in cabinet spice racks. A good suggestion is to choose a pantry door spice rack, but that doesn't mean you should ignore wall-mounted spice racks if you lack space. While planning how to store spices, think also how you're going to group them. You can do so alphabetically, or depending on how often you're using them. In fact, it is not absolutely necessary to store all pieces in a single spice rack organizer. You can have several of those placed on different sides of the kitchen. We recommend you to keep the essential spices such as salt and pepper in an easily accessible location, ideally arranged in a movable magnetic spice rack to have them closer while cooking. In a vintage wooden spice rack, you can arrange cinnamon, ginger, tartar, cloves, nutmeg, and other baking essentials. Last, you can get a separate wall spice rack for the dried herbs and thymes, or even group spices depending on their origin. Luckily, there are many modern spice rack organizers to choose from. They're made of different materials and available in all sizes and shapes, and it won't be difficult to find one that matches your needs. Had you decided for a cabinet spice rack? Consider magnetic containers and strips, wall-mount spice racks with doors, turntables, or double turntables, and dedicated shelves that optimize your vertical space. Pull-out spice racks are also very practical, in particular for those that don't have a dedicated drawer where they could organize their spices. Passionate cooks with more free time can also launch a DIY spice rack project, and build up storage space out of plastic containers and shoe boxes. Since you're investing both money and energy into discovering the perfect spice storage option, it makes absolute sense to pick containers that are attractive for the eye. For maximal functionality, get clear and named jars in the same size and shape, and pour some herb magic inside. Labeling will help you identify the specs you need, so in case your jars have no tags on them, put stickers instead. The label should always be clearly visible, attached to the lid or the outer side, depending on how you've positioned your rack. Many homeowners make the mistake of buying spices in large quantities. While it is true that this is a cost-efficient option, certain spices are not used that frequently, and may lose their scent or freshness over time. Lastly, don't use the limited square footage in the kitchen as an excuse for your spice mess. You can come up with spice rack ideas regardless of the space you have available, and getting a spice rack organizer is just the right trick to secure a more functional working area. At the end of the day, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Your spices will look just fine in a drawer or a DIY wooden container. Getting the perfect spice rack may not be the most important thing ever, but it is certainly a worthy addition you should consider. Spice racks help you stay organized and become more functional, and to locate the spice you need in less than no time.